Welcome to the original Gangsters Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Burnstein, breaking news edition. If it was there, I was going to find it. This huge point shaving scandal that seems to be brewing that we're going to be learning a lot more about in the coming weeks and months and years. I found the mob connection. At first when I reported on this, and Sports Illustrated reported on it last week, they reported, they didn't mention anything about the Mafia. I said I didn't think there was any LCN connections to this, and there's some nuance to this reporting. It's not really traditional Mafia currently, but there are Mafia ties within this historic point shaving scandal that is just now starting to surface. And Sports Illustrated reported that the kingpin of this conspiracy is a guy named Sugar Shane Hennon from Pittsburgh. And Sugar Shane is the one that I have, over the last week or so, been able to tie to old remnants of the Pittsburgh Mafia. The Pittsburgh Mafia doesn't exist anymore. There is no more La Rocca crime family, but there are definitely people that used to be connected to them. There are definitely sports books spread across Pennsylvania, parts of Ohio, West Virginia, New York, that are illegal sports books that are being run by guys that used to be under the protection of Mike Genovese and the La Rocca crime family out of Pittsburgh. Sugar Shane, 39-year-old Pittsburgh native, professional gambler, social media, gambling space tout, convicted felon, was arrested by federal authorities in January trying to get on a plane in Las Vegas and go to Colombia. It appears that all of these disparate individual point shaving investigations that we've heard about over the last 18 months or so, Jonte Porter, Temple University and Fab Miller, Terry Rozier, these are all connected, according to Sports Illustrated. And Sugar Shane Hennon is the head of the snake, the guy that is at the very forefront, the brainchild of this point shaving conspiracy is alleged to be his brainchild. And it's the scope and scale of this is unheard of. It's going to end up being the biggest sports gambling scandal in North American history. Sports Illustrated is confirming that there are 9 games right now that are being tied into this conspiracy. At least I'm hearing there's a lot more. I'm talking to people in federal government, in the U.S. Attorney's Office, people that are have firsthand knowledge of this investigation, and I'm told this is dozens of players, dozens of teams, dozens of games, from the NBA to the highest level of Division I, all the way down to the lowest level of Division I. And it's been going on for a couple years. And Shane Hennon has been the guy that has been the straw that stirs the drink. And he, in addition to being kind of known as a Pittsburgh bad boy back in the 2000s, he came up in the gambling space under Pittsburgh mob-connected gambling figures. And that he has possibly some family relations or just guys that he calls uncle, guys that were in the Eunice crew, gambling crew, the Williams brothers, the Ionellis. These are all guys or groups that were under the overall umbrella of the Pittsburgh Mafia. Williams brothers took over the policy racket from Tony Grosso. They were, there weren't after this, once Mike Genovese took over in the 80s, he stopped basically making guys. So there was only a handful of guys that were made between the mid 80s and when the family went defunct over the last, let's say, 15 years or so, 20 years. So a lot of these guys weren't made, but they were major players and at the equivalent of made status in other families. And Shane Hennon has connections with these guys. Frank Eunice was tied into some of the West Virginia stuff out of Aliquippa. He died a couple of years ago. The Williams brothers are gone. Bobby Iannelli's still alive, I think. He's in his 90s. His son Rodney's still around. He took a gambling pinch recently. Bobby took a pinch, I think, semi-recently. And, he's one of the biggest bookmakers Pittsburgh's ever seen. Even though he's in his 90s, he goes way back to the old school Pittsburgh mob regime. And Hennon is tied into these guys. I'm reporting. Shane has, again, he had this reputation as a Pittsburgh bad boy. Back in the 2000s, has a arrest for aggravated assault, reckless endangerment related to stabbing, coke dealing in the casino parking lot in Pittsburgh, and some more exclusive GR reporting here, OG reporting, also out in our companion web magazine, the Gangster Report, that in recent years, as Shane Hennon was building this online persona as SugarShaneWins.com and selling his gambling picks and showing off his flashy, opulent lifestyle. According to my sources, again, on both sides of the law, no arrests, no indictments, but he was part of a group of guys that were trying to actively consolidate traditional bookmaking throughout a number of regions of Pennsylvania, Aliquippa, Erie, McKeesport, some other areas of Pennsylvania where the crime family going by the wayside allowed a lot of these guys just to go independent. There's nobody collecting street tax. There's no protection rackets. There's no reason to need protection because there's nobody really knocking on your door. But I think in this new era gambling space, there could be some benefits if you're with somebody like a Shane Hennon who understands this new generation of everything being online and how to do kind of 21st century bookmaking. I could see how it might be alluring to certain old school bookmakers to just modernize. And if Shane and the guys he was with were offering him those opportunities, and all they needed to do was pay some type of, I guess, tax or entry fee into the group, that it could be beneficial. But I was hearing this way before I ever knew Sugar Shane Hennon was being investigated as a point shaver. I started hearing these rumors over the last couple of years and didn't really pay them much attention until, honestly, I shouldn't say I didn't pay them attention. I kept them on my radar. I kept the situation on my radar. I didn't really see how it needed reporting. There was no real mafia in Pittsburgh. I heard that there were some guys that were trying to round up some bookmakers. But now that Hennon's been arrested for this point shaving conspiracy, I feel like it's noteworthy and should be reported. It looks like Shane Hennon is in the process of hammering out a plea deal. I don't know what that means in terms of cooperation or no cooperation, but I know there are some people that feel like he could be the one that blows the doors off everybody's dirty little secrets over the last couple of years. And I said this, I think, on the last video. This, in my opinion, this could be a scandal where like there are like U.S. Senate hearings like you had with steroids. That this appears to be so widespread and pervasive, and in the fact that someone like this could conceive this and pull this off logistically it must send shivers down the spines of federal legislators, federal law enforcement, NCAA, professional sports, because there's just so much action now, so much action available on your phone to engage in, and so much action in each individual game. It's just so ripe for corruption and point spread manipulation. And it's a whole Pandora's box has been open here. And again, obviously, NCAA, NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL need to be vigilant and keep their head on a swivel with this. But this is just so, the scope of this, what I think is going to come out is so astonishing that there were so many people, so many teams from LA to New York. And when I was reading the Sports Illustrated report, I was saying, even if this guy doesn't have a traditional mob pedigree, there's no way a 39-year-old on his own could pull this off. I mean, he needs a bankroll, he needs a network, and I think those type of bankrolls and networks only come from people with ties to organized crime. The Ohtani thing never really exploded. It looked like it was going to, but MLB put a quick bottled that up pretty quickly. I know, and it's been reported that the guys that the Ohtani people were people that were betting on behalf of Ohtani were betting through a book that was connected to the Colombo crime family down in parts of California and Florida. So that didn't erupt the way I thought, or the way I think some people thought it was going to. And it was a lot of self-preservation on the behalf of MLB. But right now, the NBA and NCAA Division I men's basketball have a real elephant in the room right now. This is the tip of the iceberg. And I don't think, let me just finish off by saying, I don't think the five families or any mafia organization, modern day mafia organization, was behind the scenes pulling strings here. That's not what we're reporting. We're just saying that Sugar Shane Hennon had some connections to what used to be traditional organized crime that has now evolved in Pennsylvania into kind of independent gambling OC. And he's somebody that knew those people well. Frank Eunice, Bobby I, the Williams brothers, Jr. and Sonny. So we'll keep an eye on this for you. It's ever developing. Sports Illustrated, I think, is going to have some more stuff rolling out in the next week or so about some of the college basketball programs that are being investigated right now. So keep it locked. Original Gangsters Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe. Scott Burnstein, uncovering the underworld, one city, one region, one country at a time. I'm out.